From FedEx Forum and the American Home Shield Studio, this is The Odds Couple on GrindCityMedia.com. Handicapping all the football action, here's Rob Fischer and Lang Whitaker.
Hello, good people. Welcome to The Odds Couple, Week 12 of the college football season. Rob Fischer, Lang Whitaker with you. We'll look back at Week 11, what we learned from the week, and we'll look at all the action coming up here in Week 12. Lance Taylor will join us coming up a little bit later on as well to handicap the games coming up this weekend. Also, Vinnie Verno will stop by the show. We'll have our picks for you as well. So a lot to get to today here on The Odds Couple. Hello, Lang.
How are you?
Man, you are 13-1 the last 2 weeks here on this show. Red hot.
Yeah.
Just racking up Grind City units.
If only we used real money.
Yeah, well.
Maybe I should.
We can, you know. The windows are open.
I learned some stuff this week, though.
Yeah, what did you learn?
Alabama doesn't have that magic this year. Whatever it is, they don't have the sparkle. They don't have the thing that makes them Alabama, it feels like.
Yep.
I feel like Alabama's Microsoft and LSU is Apple this year. You know what I mean? Like,
And isn't it a lot because their defense? I mean,
yeah, I'm
years
sure.
past, it's defensive touchdowns, defensive stops. I mean, just big defensive
I mean, they
plays.
scored 40-something points against
Yeah.
LSU, but they just gave up 46, whatever it was. Like,
Yeah.
I think it hurt them more than we all realized at the time, all those linebackers who got hurt early in the season, and then the defensive line's not able to do what they do, and it's just they don't have it this year.
Yeah.
They're missing it. And I also learned Chad Morris. We hardly knew you.
Club dub.
Yeah. Here's some numbers from Chad Morris. 0-14 in the SEC career. He also had non-conference losses to Colorado State, North Texas, San Jose State, and Western Kentucky.
4-4 against non-conference teams.
Those are the four he lost.
And those are four that you scheduled to win.
When you go 4-4 against non-conference and against everybody in conference, yeah, you're not gonna hang around long.
Shortest stint at Arkansas since 1942.
Yeah, I mean he makes Bielema look like Saban at this point. So
that was bad.
yeah. So sorry, Chad. The other thing I learned was how about them dogs?
How about them dogs?
Can you believe it? Georgia leapfrogged Alabama in the rankings somehow, and now Georgia's in the 4th spot, and they went out. They're in.
Yeah, although they got a tough one this week.
Really tough one. The thing I learned from that is that Alabama basically got screwed because they lost. I mean, they played and beat a bunch of SEC teams who aren't good.
Yeah.
So it turns out that South Carolina, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Arkansas being bad hurts Alabama in the long run.
Yeah, because their schedule is just nothing to be excited about.
Right. So
A couple of things that I learned this week as far as LSU, and I think I've learned this a couple of times, and I can't stop learning it. Ed Orgeron is a good coach.
yeah.
Ed Orgeron has changed a culture of a top program, the top program right now in the country.
Yeah.
Ed Orgeron changed a culture of a program in a positive way. They are an offensive team. I mean, for LSU to be an offensive team, for him to change it, he took over for a guy who won a national championship and is deemed a really good coach in Les Miles. And what he's doing is it's incredible to think where he was not that long ago to where he is today. Great hires. I think he learned a lot at Ole Miss, obviously, and is doing a great job.
I think he's learned a lot at LSU because, 2 years ago they were going to open up the offense, and then they ended up not opening it up, and now they finally have turned it loose, and they also have the right guy there, it seems like, Burrow.
After last week, I learned because of a loss and because of Tennessee's win, Missouri has passed Tennessee on the most disappointing teams in the SEC this season.
Yeah.
Tennessee was clearly the favorites after a couple of weeks, but I think Mizzou has now passed. Not that they should have beaten Georgia, but they're not even putting up a fight now, especially on the road. They're such a different team on the road.
Yeah, I thought Kelly Bryant getting back would change things up for them, but
Which is weird that they're only a 5.5-point dog against Florida.
I know.
But it's at home, and they're a different team at
Florida
home.
was rolling last week, so
Also, Chad Morris, not a good hire. I think we learned that a while back. Baylor and Minnesota still underrated, I think. And if they win out and don't lose a game this year, they'll be in their rightful spots where they should be. But I think they need
which
to.
Which is where? Outside the playoffs?
No, they'd be in the. I think they'd both be in the playoff. If Minnesota were to win out and they'd beat Ohio State.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
And Baylor would beat Oklahoma, and then they'd win the conference championship as well. I think they would get in their rightful spots because they'd be undefeated, winning those conferences and finally beating some team. I mean, we saw how big Minnesota jumped this week after beating Penn State. They beat Oklahoma Baylor beats Oklahoma this week. They'll jump up as well. So I think they could be in the rightful spots. I don't think they're getting the credit they deserve. Baylor actually has some good wins this year. So, but they'll get there. I mean, it'll all play out when it's all said and done. Yeah. But the fish scales, my ranking system has it right.
I disagree with you on Baylor, but we can talk about that later.
All right, we'll get into that a little bit later. It was a big win for LSU last week as they did knock off Alabama 46-41, led 33-13 at the half. Joe Burrow, 393 yards, 3 touchdowns, going 31 of 39. They put up 559 yards against the Tide. Ed Orgeron on the win over the Tide.
A great win for our team. Obviously, a very happy locker room in there. Been a long time coming. We felt all week that we were the better football team. We said it to our team on Monday. We're the better football team, but we're going to have to go ahead and prove it. We proved it today. There's some things that we did very well today. There's some things that we obviously can get better at. And obviously, when we get up ahead, we have to have a killer instinct. But, give them some credit. They know how to play football. Very proud of our football team. All the guys put in a lot of hard work. Our coaching staff put in a lot of hard work to get where we're at today. Joe Burrow, again, a fantastic night. We had 559 yards of total offense, 166 yards rushing was the last time that happened against us in Alabama.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. Alabama had won 8 straight against LSU, with LSU averaging 9 points per game.
My favorite thing is when Orgeron comes into those press conferences and just reads stats.
Right.
He does it even in the pregame, leading up to the game, he'll be like, Alabama this season is number 12 in total defense or whatever.
And he'll go down every player and read their stats.
It's hilarious to me.
And he's the only coach that doesn't call opponents' players by their number, calls them by name.
Yeah, he knows the names. He doesn't play NCAA football, I guess, where it's just the numbers. The one thing with them is Burrow, to me, I was looking it up. Last season, his passer rating was 70 points lower than it is this year, his QB rating. He's made a huge jump, gigantic jump. It's almost
amazing.
Double. He's incredible.
Who would have thought he'd be a Heisman candidate a year ago?
And Tua, to his credit, against LSU, coming out there on one leg, he had 400 yards passing and 4 TDs. He was awesome.
Yeah.
But it wasn't enough.
Pretty unbelievable what LSU's done. And I think the impressive thing about LSU, and you look at them this week against Ole Miss, 21.5-point favorite against the Rebels this week. LSU hasn't had that game yet this year where you feel like they've overlooked someone or they haven't played to their capabilities. They've gone week to week and just taken care of business.
That's why I think they're the best team in the country. They are locked in every single week, and I don't think that's going to happen against Ole Miss this week. I think they're going to come out and put their foot on their neck.
Yeah, I agree with you. Also, Tennessee stays hot.
How about my Vols?
The ATM has been fixed in Knoxville. They beat Kentucky 17-13. Jared Garantano enters in the third quarter, throws for a couple of touchdowns, going 7 of 8, 115 yards. Vols have now won 4 of 5 games as they went on the road in Lexington. And Jeremy Pruitt, the head coach of the Vols, said, we were ready for the Wildcats.
We had a really good week of practice. I liked the way we warmed up. Just watching our guys, I felt like we were fixing to play really well. But we made some mental mistakes. And you can't do that. And we gave them extra opportunities. As the game went, we cut down on our mental mistakes. We didn't really change our calls. Just kind of we played a little better. But. I think our guys are growing up. If you work as hard as we work, you want to take advantage of the opportunities that you get, which, this was the 10th one. So you need to go play. You never know when it's not going to be there anymore.
He doesn't sound as excited as we are.
We got to find somewhere in the vast archives of the odds couple. A couple of weeks ago, I was like, they're going to win 6 games. You look at their schedule, they're going to win 7 games now. If you look at this, who do they have left? Vanderbilt
and Missouri.
And Missouri.
Missouri on the road.
Missouri's terrible. We saw this week.
They're good at home.
They got crushed by Georgia, and Jake Fromm was bad in that game. I think Tennessee could win this thing out. We're talking about a bowl game.
Talking about redemption story.
This is the greatest redemption story. Jeremy Pruitt, the ATM that wouldn't stop giving one way or the other.
And they'd go over, right, Roser?
Over 6.5 wins. Need it. Need
It's going to happen.
I nailed my Arkansas under 5.5 wins. We need this Tennessee over.
Well, they got a chance going to Mizzou and also having Vanderbilt and trying to break that losing streak against the Doors. This week, we got the Deep South's oldest rivalry as the Georgia Bulldogs head to Jordan-Hare to take on the Auburn Tigers. Georgia coming in as a 3-point favorite against Auburn. The total at 41.5. Georgia just 3-3 against the spread in their last 6 games, 24-13 against the spread in their last 37. 17-7 against the spread there against the SEC, but just 2-2 in their last 4 against the SEC. 11-2 against the spread on the road against SEC teams. 15-4 against the spread against winning teams. 12-2 against the spread their last 14 on the road. Also, they've lost 7 of 11 on the road against ranked opponents, but they did win the last one. 6 of their last 7 on the road have gone over, but 7 of the last 8 this season have gone under. Kirby Smart, head coach of the Bulldogs, talking about this week's opponent.
Tremendous program, tremendous football team. They got 2 really tough losses in which they played 2 really good football teams and played them right down to the wire. But they've got a tremendous program. Gus has done a great job. He's playing with a freshman quarterback who I think is going to be a really talented player in this league for a long time. He's been in some really tough games already, and he's played really well. And then you look across the board, opening with Oregon, who's one of the best teams in the country, to beat those guys and be a true freshman and go out there and do that, it's really hard to do. Their defense speaks for itself. They've got a ton of guys that are going to be drafted on it. They got guys that seem like they have played in our conference for 10 years. It'll be a challenge this week to, get our guys prepared, healed up, and ready to go against a really tough football team in a tough environment to play in on the road at Auburn. But that's what the SEC is about, and that's the next game up for us.
Georgia, I think a couple of weeks ago, there were questions of, their offense especially. But now we look at what their defense has done. It's been pretty impressive.
Yeah, and with the offense, Larry Cager has sort of emerged as that clear number 1 receiver that they
if he
didn't
can
have.
stay healthy.
Yeah. The one thing with Georgia is, they beat Missouri bad last week. It sort of masked. Jake Fromm had his worst passing game of his career, 13 for 29 against Missouri. They still won 27-zip, but the one thing about Fromm is he always has good bounce back weeks throughout the career. Whenever he's had kind of a down game, he comes back the next week and looks great. The other thing is everyone's saying, "Oh, Auburn's at home. Bo Nix is at home." Look who they played at home this year. The best team they played at home might be Mississippi State this year. I'm serious. If you look down, Ole Miss and Mississippi State were their 2 toughest home games. All those tough games they had were on the road or neutral sites. So I don't really feel like the home thing is that much of a difference for this team. They're going to play a really good Georgia team there, and I think Georgia's going to win.
Yeah, Auburn, while Georgia's numbers against the spread and their trends are very positive, Auburn's are as well. 7-2 against the spread this year, 8-2 against the spread their last 10, 11-4 against the spread their last 15. They've covered 5 of their last 6 games at home. They've won 21 of their last 23 at home. They're 26-3 at home when they're a ranked team under Gus Malzahn. 7-1 at home when they're ranked, taking on a ranked opponent under Gus Malzahn. 17-10 when ranked, taking on an Eastern team from the SEC. 11-15-1 against the spread. And following a bye, Auburn has won their last 9 games following a bye. Head-to-head, Georgia's won 12 of the last 15, 4 of the last 6. And in those 4 wins for Georgia, they won by a combined score of 115-38. Georgia's also won the last 2. 5 of the last 6 matchups between these 2 teams have gone under. Gus Malzahn.
Doesn't that seem to be the play in this game? Is the with both how? I mean, we talked about that LSU explosive offense.
Yeah.
Dude, Auburn held them. So, what was it, like 23, 24 points or whatever it was? It feels like.
And Georgia's not scoring a ton of points.
Right, and even if Georgia, they scored 27 on Missouri and Fromm didn't have a good game. Like, if it feels like, even if Georgia covers the game, like what? Like 17-6?
Yeah.
16-6? Like
21,
I think it'll be
16, 17?
No, I think it'll be like 25-18, something like that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Which is close because the total is 41.5.
Yeah.
Gus Malzahn talking about the Dogs.
Georgia week, very exciting around here right now. When you look at them, we're playing one of the most talented teams in the entire country. And I think the good thing for us is we've already played 3 top 10 teams, so it's not going to be a shock to our system as far as that goes. And then I think another big factor is we're playing at home, and we're very excited about that. I know our players are too, and can't wait to get in front of our fans in this game. I think they've not given up a rushing touchdown up to this point. And I don't think that's happened in the last 20 years. So that tells you a little bit about their defense. But overall, like I said, a very, very talented team. But we're really looking forward to playing these guys, and our coaches and our players are extremely excited.
Again, Georgia 3-point favorite, total at 41.5, and Auburn coming off a bye week to get ready for this one.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. Another SEC matchup this week, South Carolina at Texas A&M. A&M favored by 11. Total is 50.5. Carolina's gone under in 5 of their last 7. They're 12-5 against the spread as a dog and 7-4 against the spread as a double-digit dog. They have lost 9 of their last 11 against the SEC West, but they are 9-3 against the spread on the road, 9-2 against the spread when they play on the road on grass. Texas A&M, meanwhile, has won 10 of 12 at home, including the last 2. They're 12-4 against the spread at home, but did not cover the last one. And 11-3 their last 14 against the SEC East, including winning their last 8. Head-to-head, A&M has won the last 5 games and 2-0 at home. All right, it's that time of week again where we get a very special treat here on the program. It's the arrival of Vinnie Verno.
Oh, he's here?
Yeah, he's here. He's here in studio with us. Music is playing.
Oh.
Vinnie Verno, ladies and gentlemen. He's carrying a bag with him today.
Got a blonde mustache today.
Oh, he dyed the mustache. All right.
I've dyed my mustache. I'm obviously incognito, what they call incognito. Because
Are you Antonio Brown?
I am Rick Verno. Nobody call me Vinny anymore.
All right, Rick.
And the reason is very simple.
Yeah.
There's going to be a heist this weekend.
Oh.
We have been waiting, and we have been waiting, and we have been waiting. There's only one kind of money that matters in this life, and that's cougar money. But Vegas has been screwing around with cougar money all year long. And they've said, we ain't going to give you a line that you want to take. Until this week! This is everything I won this year. That's $5 million, Whitaker. And I'm putting it all on Washington State, minus 10.5 against Stanford. They have beaten Stanford 3 years in a row. And last year, what happened in the game? Do you remember? Big comeback. And look it up. The friggin' coach of Stanford started crying. The friggin' coach cried on the sideline. He said, oh, I friggin' lost again. He cried. You wussy. Who cries over a football game? That bum at Stanford. They stink. Both corners are out. Big trouble against the Pirate. And in addition to that, they own them. 5 years in a row. They've covered every single time. And, by the way, their coach cries after losing. Can you imagine General Patton being like, oh, I don't know about this war, guys. They scored 13 points against Colorado last week. I bet he cried over that, too.
Yeah.
Minus 10.5. I've been waiting all year for this cougar money. And I'm putting it all. $5 million on Washington State minus 10.5 over Stanford. This friggin' mustache is falling in my mouth. Look at that.
Must be the dye.
It tastes
it's
like
incognito.
David Shaw's tears. You don't go to Pullman and come out alive. Washington State minus 10.5. Hammer time, baby. Uh-oh. Here comes
a hammer.
hammer. You either got cougar money or you're poor.
Cougar money.
Cougar
Rick
money.
Verno.
Washington State minus the 10.5.
I
They've
can't
covered.
do this bet under my own name.
They've covered the last
They put
5.
me in prison.
against Stanford. Thank you so much, Vinnie Verno.
You ever see Cruel Intentions? That was a runner!
We will take a break here on The Odds Couple. When we come back, Lance Taylor will join us. We'll handicap some of the action coming up this weekend with him. That's all straight ahead here on The Odds Couple on Grind City Media.
Millions of fans have witnessed the concert experience that launched a one-of-a-kind rock holiday tradition. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, live in concert. The all-new Christmas Eve and Other Stories, presented by Hallmark Channel. December 19th, FedEx Forum. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Another Beaver production.
WWE returns to Memphis for the first time in 2020 with Friday Night SmackDown. Friday night, January 3rd at FedEx Forum. You'll see Roman Reigns.
You must have not got the memo.
Braun Strowman.
Somebody is going to get these hands.
Sasha Banks. SmackDown Women's Champion Baylor. The Fiend. Bray Wyatt and more. Don't wait. Great seats are available now at the box office and Ticketmaster.
Grizz Nation! Download the all-new, all-access, all-in-one Grizzlies mobile app. Get 3 new experiences with one app, including a fresh Grizzlies look and feel, along with new access to FedEx Forum events and Grind City Media news and notes on all things Grizzlies, football, and more. From podcasts to purchasing tickets, playing Pop-A-Shot, and more, the new Grizzlies app has it all. So don't delay. Upgrade your experience and download the new Grizzlies app today. Available now at the App Store and Google Play.
Just keep global pop sensation Ariana Grande live in concert. The Sweetener World Tour 2019. FedEx Forum, Saturday, December 7th. Get tickets now at livenation.com. The #1 selling album, Sweetener, is available everywhere. There's more at arianagrande.com. I'm living, so we turn it up.
Welcome back to GrindCityMedia.com, live from FedEx Forum and the American Home Shield Studio. Now, here's more of the Odds Couple, Rob Fischer and Lang Whitaker.
It's time, Memphis. Join Jaren Jackson Jr., Kyle Anderson, and your Memphis Grizzlies this Friday at 7 p.m. as they play host to Mike Conley and the Utah Jazz, presented by Budweiser. Fans will want to arrive early as the first 5,000 will receive a commemorative arm sleeve. Get Memphis and get your tickets today to see your next Gen Grizz by calling 901-888-HOOP or clicking Grizzlies.com. Welcome back, everyone, to The Odds Couple. Rob Fischer, Lang Whitaker with you. Our picks coming up here in a little bit. Last week, it was a big one for the Golden Gophers. Minnesota came in undefeated. They were home to Penn State. Not many people gave them a chance. Penn State was favored, questioning Minnesota's schedule, and they really controlled the game from the outset, winning 31-26.
I didn't give much of a chance. I didn't think Minnesota was that good. And it's funny, like, even after beating Penn State, it seems like the playoff committee still doesn't think they're very good.
Big jump, but...
And even Vegas doesn't seem to think they're very good.
Yeah, and Penn State did have a chance at the end, interception in the end zone with 1:01 left. 3 picks for the Gophers in the victory. Their first win against a top 5 opponent in 20 years. First at home since 1977. PJ Fleck rowing that boat, talking about the win over Penn State.
Since January, we've been talking about this word pressure. And all the players wrote down on a piece of coal last night, which signified carbon, what pressure has taught them since January. And they put it all in this big bucket. And overnight, it turned to this diamond. I don't know if it turned that fast, but we said it did. And that's what they are. They're diamonds. When everybody says they can't do something, when everybody says we haven't played anybody, when everybody says all that, that's great. And look, respectfully so. I mean, I appreciate all of your jobs just like you appreciate everybody else's jobs. You have a job to do. I don't blame you for saying that or seeing that. But what they did tonight was really special.
I say this with all due respect. This is like what would happen if Michael Scott was a football coach.
They turned into diamonds
overnight.
Overnight.
He said the coal that represents carbon. So what does that mean?
Minnesota, despite being number 8 in the playoff ranking, they are at number 20 Iowa, and they are a 3-point dog this week, total at 44.5. Joining us now to talk more about the action this weekend, he's a host of the Roundtable on WJOX in Birmingham. He's on Twitter at @TheLanceTaylor, and you can check out his picks daily at lanceslock.com. Lance Taylor joins us. Good afternoon, Lance.
Hello, fellas. PJ Fleck's done a heck of a job, and I don't know if you guys realize this. He can become just the third coach over the last 40 years to win 7 straight games outright as an underdog. Now that he's getting points against Iowa, tremendous job he's done there. 11 consecutive wins if we go back to 2018, and more importantly, they've covered 6 straight games.
Wow! I mean, are we believing? Should we believe?
Okay, I believed all year long. I've been talking this team up. Not only great wide receiver group there, but Tanner Morgan has played extremely well at quarterback position. They're turning teams over, but this is the moment they lose. Floyd of Rosedale Trophy. Iowa's won 4 consecutive in the series. Iowa's 4th. And points per game, only giving up 11.7. They're 11th in total defense. I think it's a perfect spot for Iowa. I think the magic comes to an end. I like Iowa minus the points here.
Mm-hmm. And Baylor was scary last week. Took some late field goal heroics to send it to overtime, and then they decided to score some touchdowns, and they get the win over TCU to stay undefeated. Now, this week, they got Oklahoma at home. Does it come to an end for Baylor?
Well, mention P.J. Fleck and how good he is at getting his teams to the window as an underdog. Matt Rule 9-2, his last 11 out as a dog. You look at Oklahoma; their last 4 as a Big 12 visitor, 0-3-1 against the number. Still, Jalen Hurts leads the FBS in QBR. Oklahoma blew that 3-touchdown lead last week, and a lot of people holding an Oklahoma ticket felt like they were comfortably going to get to the window. You look at last year's matchup against Baylor; they win that game 66-33. I just think Oklahoma, as good as this Baylor defense is, leading the Big 12 in scoring defense at 19 points per game, I think Oklahoma too much offense. I think Baylor, this magical season comes to an end as well. I like Oklahoma minus the points here.
Before we get to a couple of SEC games, we talked about Chad Morris and his future last week, and Arkansas had to make the move after that debacle.
That was awful. I mean, and Ty Storey, just insult to injury.
Yeah.
Ty Storey, a coach that didn't want him, he comes in and slays that defense, and the game's not even close. And, I was actually at the LSU-Alabama game, so I was kind of scoreboard watching, and, I thought Western Kentucky, I liked them minus the points. I didn't think that they would run them off the field. That was beyond embarrassing. And, the hand was forced there. You had to do something with Chad Morris.
And how good of a job is that? What type of coach can you get? Another Chad Morris?
No, that's the difficult thing about this. It is an SEC job. There's only 14 of them. You look at the SEC network money and the money that comes in. It's a job that'll pay $4 million plus.
Yeah.
But the problem is, can you actually win there? It's probably the second most difficult job to win in right now behind Vanderbilt. So I don't know how big the pool is. If I'm rolling the dice, I'm bringing in a guy like Mike Leach if he'd even take the job. He's able to win in Lubbock. He's able to win in Pullman. Give him a shot. At least it would be a fun way to lose, worst case scenario.
Right. Absolutely. Maybe open the Dub Club at least a couple of times a year. In the SEC this week, the Deep South's oldest rivalry, Georgia and Auburn, one of those games, kind of like Florida-Georgia, where things can get weird between these two teams. It's at Auburn. The line has stayed pretty steady throughout the week. Georgia's defense has been stout. Their offense had been questionable over the last few weeks, and they come in against an Auburn team who had the week off. What do you like?
Maybe the two best defenses in college football. You look at Georgia; they've won 5 of their last 6 against Auburn. Malzahn's only 2-5 against the Georgia Bulldogs. DeAndre Swift, second in the SEC, 102 yards per game. You go back to last year, 186 against this Auburn defense. Auburn's 8-2. Their last 10 out against the number. Bo Nix scares me to death. But you look at what Auburn's got coming back in Boobie Whitlow, Marlon Davidson, Jeremiah Denson. I think Auburn's defense, you couple that with this great atmosphere, weird things happen in Jordan-Hare going back to 2017 where they run the number 1 team in the nation in Georgia off the field. I like Auburn here. I like them outright. I think you got a live dog.
LSU is at Ole Miss this week. A big number. We were talking about it earlier. I think the thing that's been really impressive for LSU, they haven't had that week where you felt like they didn't play their best. They overlooked an opponent. They've taken care of business week in and week out, and I expect the same against Ole Miss this week.
You know, it's strange that Joe Burrow led the FBS in completion percentage, almost 79% going into the Alabama game, and he raises that. I don't know how that's possible, but now he's completing 82% of his passes. They've covered 5 straight away from Baton Rouge. On the other side, Ole Miss is 5-1 their last 6 against the number. They're averaging an SEC high 293 rushing yards since John Reese Plumlee took over the starting quarterback. LSU is a much better team. I just wonder if there's a little bit of a flatness that comes out after that Alabama game. I'm getting 3 touchdowns here. I don't feel great about it, but I'm going to lean the dog here. I'm going to play Ole Miss.
All right. NFL, what are we learning in the NFL? Anything new this week?
Yeah, I think anything can happen, fellas. I mean, 3 1-7 teams win outright when a lot of these teams were, supposedly tanking for Tua. We now call it blowing it for Burrow. But 2 double-digit dogs winning outright, and maybe the most surprising wasn't, Miami winning in Indy against a backup quarterback in Brian Hoyer, but maybe the Atlanta Falcons dominating the New Orleans Saints. So I think it shows you week in, week out, anything can happen in the NFL.
Who you like this week in the Shield?
Well, I'm going to go reversal here. I had them on a Thursday night against Arizona. San Francisco should have covered that game against Kyler Murray, and Kyler Murray and Arizona playing a little bit better. The 49ers coming off that really difficult defeat against Seattle. I'm going to lay the points here. I'm going to play the 49ers bouncing back and rolling against Arizona.
All right, and you can get your picks daily at lanceslock.com. What can folks see when they go to lanceslock.com?
Everything, fellas, from the NBA to college basketball, obviously week 12 of the college football season, the NFL, get on board. We've been winning. We had a bad weekend last week, and we try to be transparent. It was our first overall losing weekend of 2019 as far as football is concerned. So just try us out. It's only $90 a month, $3 a day, lanceslock.com.
Sounds great. Lance, always a pleasure, man. Thank you much for your time.
Enjoy the weekend. See you, fellas.
All right. Lance Taylor joining us from WJOX in Birmingham. You can catch him on Twitter at @TheLanceTaylor and check out lanceslock.com. It has been weird in the NFL, and we're getting to that point of the season now where you get into your last 5-6 weeks of now's that time where a team starts to get hot heading into the playoffs, and it could be so many teams right now.
Somebody that we both know came to me last Saturday, and they were like, I'm in a survivor pool. On Sunday, I have to pick one of these 2 teams to survive. Would you pick the Falcons or the Dolphins? And I was like, I wouldn't take either of them. And then they both won.
Yeah.
So we're also at the point of the NFL season where crazy stuff happens every single week.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. Somebody's going to get hot, though, heading into the postseason from this point on. Back to the SEC, Florida Gators, after just stomping Vanderbilt last week, 56-0 was the score in that one. They put up 560 yards. This week they traveled to Missouri to take on the Tigers. They're only a 5.5-point favorite in this game. The total at 50.5. Florida's 12-4 in games decided by 7 or less. They've won 3 of the last 4. 7 of their last 8 on the road have gone over. Mizzou, meanwhile, 6-0 against the spread. Their last 6 at home. 5-0 this season at home, outscoring opponents 40.5 to 11.5. Mizzou has lost 12 of their last 13 against ranked opponents. They're 4-47 against top 10 opponents since 1991. 6 of their last 8 have gone under. They've been under in 7 of their last 8 at home, although they were over in the last one. They've won 9 of their last 10 in November, the only loss coming last week against Georgia. Head-to-head, Mizzou has won the last 2. They've won 4 of the last 6, and they're 5-2 against the spread, the last 7 against the Gators. Here's Dan Mullen on Mizzou.
Huge challenge. Getting to play Missouri, a team that a very different team at home and on the road and during the area. And I can't tell you why. I'm sure you have to ask Barry why maybe that is, but we're playing them at their place, and so we have to deal with the good side of things. Where they're averaging over 40 points a game at home. They're undefeated at home. I think they've just about blown out everybody that's come in there to play at their place. So they're a team that plays with a lot of confidence at home and has played extremely well this season.
I think Florida early in the season, they were one of those teams where they were a little iffy week to week and maybe didn't play to their capabilities, unlike what we were talking about at LSU. But lately, Florida, week in and week out, they've brought it. And I'd be surprised. That number's really low. It's a scary number because of what Mizzou's done at home, but it's surprising to me to go against Florida this week.
Who have they beat at home? Missouri, it's not.
Here, I'll even tell you.
I don't think it's anybody it's not like they beat Alabama and LSU at home.
No, they've beaten West Virginia, Southeast Missouri, South Carolina, Troy, Ole Miss.
Yeah. Okay, great. So the toughest team they beat at home is Ole Miss?
Yeah.
South Carolina, I guess?
Yeah,
I mean,
South Carolina, probably.
So great. So I feel like Florida, I'm not worried about this game at all. I think Florida wins by a lot. By the way, Muschamp, you see he got the vote of confidence through the end of the season? At the end of the season, then we'll take a look at it.
Reevaluate. Yeah. Here's one I know you're interested in this week. Kentucky at Vanderbilt.
Ooh.
Kentucky's a 10-point favorite, total at 43.5. Both teams suck against the spread. Kentucky 4-13 is a favorite, 6-16 following a conference game, 2-9 off a conference loss. Vanderbilt's 1-8 against the spread this year, 3-8 against the spread last 11 at home. But here's your play of the week, possibly. Kentucky, 6 of their last 9 have gone under, including the last 6 have gone under. 8 of their last 10 on the road have gone under. Vanderbilt's been under in 5 of their last 6, under in 10 of the last 14 at home, including 6 of the last 8, and 6 of the last 7 in this series have gone under the 43.5, Kentucky and Vanderbilt this week. But they're both so bad that they'll come out and have
when
a
you said
shootout.
both teams suck against the spread, you could have left out against the spread.
Yeah, probably could have.
I mean, Kentucky, we did at some point there needs to be like a 30 for 30 about this, that they've played a wide receiver at quarterback for most of the season.
For a long time now.
And he can't pass. Like, he cannot throw the ball, and he's still starting at quarterback, and then they don't know what to do. And then Vanderbilt here is in range of losing this game, and then you lose against Tennessee at the end of the season. Like, losing out the rest of the way is not a good look for them.
Yeah, not good for Derek Mason,
No.
I don't think, at this point either. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll have our picks for the week and a couple of other games to run down, including the Memphis Tigers, who are on the road, back in action this week at Houston. We'll take a break here on The Odds Couple, here on Grind City Media.
The voice, the hits, the tour. The wait is over. Celine Dion, Courage, World Tour. February 9th, FedEx Forum. The first North American tour in over a decade. Reserve seats on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Celine Dion. Produced by Concerts West. Get tickets now.
Grizz Nation! Download the all-new, all-access, all-in-one Grizzlies mobile app. Get 3 new experiences with one app, including a fresh Grizzlies look and feel, along with new access to FedEx Forum events and Grind City Media news and notes on all things Grizzlies, football, and more. From podcasts to purchasing tickets, playing Pop-A-Shot, and more, the new Grizzlies app has it all. So don't delay. Upgrade your experience and download the new Grizzlies app today. Available now at the App Store and Google Play.
Grizz Nation. All new 10, 22, and flex packs for the Grizzlies 2019-2020 season are on sale now. Save big on single game prices and guarantee your seats to the best games and promotions for the upcoming year, including the Lakers, Warriors, and more. Choose from half season, weekend, and big game plans, plus enjoy extended payment options, all starting at $12 per game. Get your new pack today and call 901-888-HOOP or shop at grizzlies.com.
Art, sound, and sensory overload. Tool Live. Friday, January 31st, FedEx Forum. The new album, Fear Inoculum, out now. Tool. Tickets are on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at livenation.com. Tool, presented by Live Nation.
Welcome back to The Odds Couple on GrindCityMedia.com. Live from FedEx Forum and the American Home Shield Studio. Here's The Odds Couple, Rob Fischer and Lang Whitaker.
Hey, develop your child's shooting, dribbling, and defensive skills and get the chance to train on the Grizzlies home court when the Grizzlies host a Thanksgiving Break Game Day Clinic presented by Nike on Wednesday, November 27th from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. for boys and girls ages 7 to 16. Registration is just $125 each and includes 2 tickets to that night's game against the Los Angeles Clippers Participants also receive Grizzlies giveaways and take part in special pregame fan experiences. To register online, go to grizzlies.com/youth basketball. Welcome back to the Odds Couple, week 12 of the college football season. Rob Fischer, Lang Whitaker with you. A couple of other games to look at before we get our picks for the week. The Memphis Tigers back in action this week as they travel to Houston to take on the Cougars. Tigers a 10.5-point favorite. The total at 69.5 for the Tigers in Houston. Memphis 9-6 against the spread their last 15, didn't cover the last 2. 8-6 against the spread as a road favorite, did not cover the last 2. 9-2 against the spread as a 10.5 to 21-point favorite, didn't cover the last 1. 31-16 against the spread on the road against losing teams, didn't cover the last 1 there either. They've won 7 of 9 following a bye week, 7-1 against the spread in November, although didn't cover the last 1 thanks to Sonny Dykes. And they've gone over in their last 5 games. Houston, meanwhile, 6-3 head-to-head against Memphis. Memphis has won the last 3, but 4 of the last 5 have been decided by 1 score. Last year was the exception when Memphis won by 21. 4 of the last 5 in the series have gone over. Mike Norvell, head coach of the Tigers, talking about the close series and games that they've had with Houston.
Last 5 or 6 years have probably been some of the most competitive, hardest fought contests that we've had as a program, and I expect nothing different come Saturday. It's a very talented football team. It's one that you've got a lot of explosive players. It's a very challenging place to play. And I can tell you that our guys are excited about the opportunity, and looking forward to another great week of preparation to put ourselves in a position to hopefully have a chance for success.
I think Houston, obviously not the same team as they were at the beginning of the season. Memphis, I think the bye week came at a good time because that would have been a tough game to come back from with how high you were in the SMU game to come back that next week and play. So I think the bye week came at a great time.
I think they bounced back big this week. And Houston, not the team they were at the start of the season because they're redshirted everybody halfway through the season. They're
tanking for Tua.
Yeah, they are. Or they're blowing it for Burrow, one of the two. So I think Memphis wins this one big.
Yeah. Also, LSU 21.5 at Ole Miss. The total is 65.5 in that one. LSU 7-1 against the spread this season. They've gone over in 8 of their last 11 games. Ole Miss, meanwhile, 4 of their last 5 have gone under. They've gone under in 9 of their last 13 and 8 of their last 11 at home. They are 5-1 against the spread in their last 6, but 2-9 against the spread as a dog, 2-8 against the spread against winning teams, 5-14 straight up against top 10 opponents, 3-9 straight up against top 5 opponents, and 4-10 against the spread against SEC opponents. Head-to-head, LSU's won 13 of the last 17. The home team has won 6 of the last 7, but LSU has covered 4 of the last 5. And Alabama 21.5 at Mississippi State, although that line now has gone down to 17.5 for some reason.
Somebody hurt?
Something weird there. That's a 4-point swing for Alabama against a terrible Mississippi State team.
Yeah.
And the total at 63.5. Alabama's outscored SEC opponents even after last week's game, 46.2 to 24.7. They've won 38 straight as a double-digit favorite against the SEC, going 21-17 against the spread. 31-3 their last 34 road games, and they've won 89 straight against unranked opponents. Mississippi State 3-6 against the spread. They've lost 16 of 20 against top 25 teams, 9 of 11 against top 10 teams. They are 13-5 against the spread at home and 13-4 against the spread at home when the game's on Saturday. Head-to-head, Alabama's won 11 straight. Mississippi State has scored in those 11 games. State has scored just 8.5 points per game. Saban 16-1 against the Bullies. 9 of the 12 in the series have gone under. And that game is one of our picks this week that we make as we get to our picks. And we'll start with my 5 this week. I'm going with the Auburn Tigers over the Georgia Bulldogs. I just think Auburn has consistently played better. And in that home environment, I'll take Auburn getting points at home. I'll go with Houston against Memphis with the 10.5. That hook is very inviting to me. Memphis has played with fire a little bit against the number here in the last few weeks. So I'll go with Houston to cover, Memphis to win the game, but Houston to cover the 10.5. I'm going Oklahoma minus the 9.5 against Baylor. The Baylor TCU game really stuck out to me about Baylor maybe not being as good as their record indicates, obviously. Oklahoma 20-3 the last 23 games against Baylor. I'll take the Sooners. I'm going Alabama minus the 21.5 against Mississippi State. And I'm going LSU minus the 21.5 against Ole Miss. I just think LSU, week in and week out, they bring it, and they'll do it again this week against the Rebels. What about Lang's locks, which have been on fire?
Yeah, I've been doing well the last few weeks. I agree with you on some of these. I'm going with Georgia over Auburn. Like I said, I think Fromm has a big bounce-back week. I'm not concerned about playing at Auburn just because Auburn hasn't beat anybody good at home. And all the tough road games they've lost. I would also take Memphis to cover against Houston. I feel like 10.5 is not undoable for a team at Houston. Got all their best players on the bench.
Like Memphis got something to play for.
Yeah, I feel like Memphis is going to cover that one. And then, like the Oklahoma-Baylor game, like you, I watched that Baylor-TCU game from start to finish last week. Baylor stinks on offense. They are not good. They scored some touchdowns in the overtimes, but they couldn't move the ball. They couldn't get it in the end zone. They were not good offensively. I don't think they're going to have a problem. Oklahoma is going to have a problem pushing this one over.
Yeah, and then you also like Alabama, LSU, as do I. Our off the grid, those picks, by the way, those 5 picks, part of our Grind City Media pick 'em panel each and every week that you can check out tomorrow. It'll be posted on social media at Grind City Media on Twitter. We pick 8 games each and every week. Everyone from Grind City Media involved in that pick 'em panel. Eric Hasseltine, Michael Wallace, John Roser, Devin Walker, Chris Vernon, Meghan Triplett, myself, you.
That's it.
We pick 8 games each and every week against the spread, and we'll have those posted tomorrow for you. But each week we like to go off the grid for a pick as well. Who are you going off the grid with?
I'm going to go with Michael Scott in The Office. I didn't realize if you had played me that Cole thing when I made the picks, I might not have done it. But I feel like everyone's overlooking them. They handled Penn State easier than the score kind of indicated to me. And for them to only be a 2-point spread here against Iowa, I think Minnesota's going to win. I'll take them.
Yeah, I'm going with Clemson this week. After watching Clemson last week trying to send a message to the playoff committee by running up the score late in the game, they're playing a Wake Forest team who's got a good record, but they haven't beaten anybody with a winning record yet this season. 32.5, it's at home. I think Clemson's trying to send a message week in and week out, and they try to do it again this week, and I think they're successful with the 32.5.
For what it's worth, the Alabama game that we both have them, and it's down to 17, like I think Alabama's going to try and run up the score also to send a message, and so I'm fine taking.
Well, Saban won't admit it, but they definitely will.
They need to.
NFL pick. Where are you going this week?
The New Orleans Saints.
Back to the Saints. Back to the well.
They carried me through
Good
October.
job taking last week off.
They carried me through October. I took off last week because they were playing the Falcons, and it's my team. I couldn't get involved there emotionally, but I watched that game, and New Orleans just shot themselves in the foot time and time again. I figured they get that stuff cleaned up. Sean Payton got engaged, by the way. Congrats to him.
Nice.
To a former Miss West Virginia, I believe
even
it
better.
is. So they play in at Tampa Bay this week. Give me the chance to bet against Jameis. I'm going to take it. I'll take the Saints.
I'm taking the Patriots this week. Only 3.5 in Philadelphia against the Eagles. Patriots coming off the bye week and coming off a loss. I think they come back strong, and Philadelphia has kind of been up and down all year, but Patriots are just a much better team, and I think they come back strong following the bye week.
Yeah.
All right, Roser.
That's a solid pick with the Patriots. I had a buddy send me this last night. Bill Belichick coming off a loss with the Patriots, 40-16 against the spread.
All right, that makes me feel even
pretty
better.
solid right
Good.
there.
Yeah.
We'll go back to the well with college football. Ohio State first half, they opened minus 31.5 against Rutgers. Who might be worse than Arkansas as far as a Power 5 team goes. They might be.
No,
they might be worse than Arkansas.
They're a real stinkfish.
I mean, it might be close a little bit there.
That is a huge first half line.
Yeah, minus 31.5.
Wow.
It is now up to the Westgate just posted it at 34.5.
Wait, that's the first half line?
First half
opened at I thought that was the whole game.
No. The Westgate just posted at 34.5. William Hill has it at 32.5. It originally opened at 31.5. As long as that's under 35, that is one you bet your mortgage on. And then for the NFL, my team is banged up, man. Like, my whole team is injured. We lost 49ers. We lost Ronald Blair. George Kittle probably not going to play again on Sunday. Robbie Gould, the kicker, still has the strained quad. Tevin Coleman got banged up a little bit. He came back and played. I know Lang's heard those words. Tevin Coleman banged up.
Yeah.
I know he's heard that a lot. Another backup linebacker got hurt. There's another defensive lineman that got – I mean, everybody got injured for the 49ers.
And they're playing a Cardinals team that's got their number.
They lost their center. The Cardinals kind of gave the blueprint to how you play the 49ers defense. defense and you run a lot of counter, you run a lot of misdirection, you get them off balance a little bit. That's how you make up for how much speed they have. I'm going to go with Arizona plus the 10.5, plus the 11, whatever it is right now.
All right, there you go. There are our picks for the week, and that's going to do it for us. Enjoy the action this weekend.
Oh, I will.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I am as well. Continued success with your picks. 13-1 the last 2 weeks on your picks on
plus
this very show.
372 GC units.
Yeah, that's pretty darn impressive.
I'm 9-0 picking Ohio State first halves.
You are.
Keep riding that train, man. That'll do it for us here on The Odds Couple today. Thank you for tuning in. Best of luck with your picks this week. Enjoy all the action in Week 12. We'll be back again next week to preview Week 13 of the college football season and continue to talk a little NFL as we get to the final few weeks of the NFL season as well. We'll talk to you next week here on The Odds Couple.
Odds Couple from the American Home Shield Studio on GrindCityMedia.com. Tune in next week for more football handicapping with Rob Fischer and Lang Whitaker.